Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Allison Dawson and I'm the Student Development Specialist, English and Writing Tutor for ECTC Student Support Services Program, and I hope that all of you are having a wonderful day today. Today we'll be giving a brief virtual presentation titled Beginning a Formal Sentence Outline, and this presentation will cover the importance of utilizing an outline as well as the elements and specifics needed to begin developing a formal sentence outline. So with that being said, it is my hope that you walk away from today's presentation with a better grasp on the elements needed to compose a formal sentence outline, as well as develop a greater understanding of the value in utilizing this outline or any other outline in planning and organizing your thoughts for writing assignments that you might complete. And so we'll begin today with a few things to know, a couple of definitions and differences here. There are two main types of outlines. First is an informal outline. It kind of compares to that of brainstorming, a list of ideas that's not very well organized, whereas a formal outline, the second type, is where your ideas are organized by levels to show how the writing will flow and transition throughout. Formal outlines can be written in two ways. First is in complete sentences, which is called a sentence outline, or they can be organized by words or phrases in a topic outline. Today's presentation will only cover the components of a formal sentence outline. Secondly here, why do we use an outline? So outlines obviously might be required in your writing processes, especially in courses like English 101 or 102. However, I'm going to ask you to consider their purpose just for a moment. The organization of your ideas. So if you're an individual who struggles taking your ideas from your mind to the paper, this is the tool to use. I'm also going to ask you to consider this thought for a moment. The more complete and formal your outline is, the easier it will be to develop your paper as you're taking those items that you put into your outline and plugging them into a rough draft to start writing and developing your writing. And so keep those items in mind. Keep the value of using an outline in mind. The second item of business here is the order. So to effectively utilize and develop an outline, you must understand how your information is going to be organized. And so in a formal sentence outline, all of your ideas are going to be organized by levels. Roman numerals, letters, and numbers organize these levels. They're going to organize your main ideas, reasons and examples, supporting details, and evidence. A couple of items before we jump right in. First of all, there are two partitions at every level. Always. So what this means is you can't have a 1 without a 2 or an A without a B. Outlines are going to look different for everyone, and they'll differ by writing piece. Different writing assignments require different bits of information. So that's just another thing to consider. And always follow any guidelines given to you by your instructor so that you complete your assignments to the best of your ability. Moving forward, I want you to take note. This is just a general template of an outline that I've created. The information we're going to cover in today's presentation is in blue lettering. Everything thereafter, though, is a pretty similar pattern. Creating an outline is pretty much the same through and through as far as pattern goes. However, it's just plugging in that different information to fit those different levels. Couple of formatting items quickly. So as you begin to type up your outline, just remember these few things. You're going to type it in Times New Roman size 12 font, just as you would for any other college writing assignment. Typically, you're not required to double space an outline, but if you are, please do so. Make sure that the levels in your outline stay in line with one another as you're formatting. Watch for unnecessary spacing issues or errors that can happen, and follow any and all guidelines provided to you by your instructor so that you can create an outline that best works for you, for your writing assignment, and so that you can complete everything that you need to the best of your ability. Beginning with step 1 here, introductory elements and thesis statement. So unless noted by your instructor, typically you aren't required to have introductory or concluding elements within your outline. However, I recommend that you include them if you can, because that just helps with making a more complete outline by the end. And so also your thesis statement will be the first item that you'll include if no introductory elements are required. If they are, I'm going to kind of show you both scenarios. So we're going to start with just the thesis statement. So our example for the day for this presentation is Success in Elementary School Classrooms. That's our title. And our thesis statement reads, factors that create the most optimal learning environment in the elementary level classroom are differentiation, classroom management, and consistency and routine. So that's kind of how it would look with just the thesis statement. But on the flip side, success in elementary school classrooms with that introductory element. And so we're going to start that introductory element with a Roman numeral 1. Roman numerals kind of symbolize the beginning of a new paragraph. Within that introductory element under Roman numeral 1, we're going to include our hook. what that first statement is where we capture our reader's attention. And so for the purposes of today's example, it reads, think back to your experiences sitting in a classroom as a young student. What influenced your learning and success in that classroom? And thereafter, we have 2 more levels. These levels are organized by capital A and capital B. These levels typically for capital A and capital B symbolize subordinate ideas. These are just going to symbolize our sentences. Think about it as our sentences thereafter that introductory statement. And so under part A, we have any background information or any other information that we would need thereafter, and then that thesis statement. So that's kind of one way that would look. It could have more levels depending on what you need. This is just kind of a general scenario for you to kind of look at and think about. Under step 2, our next step, main ideas. So this would be that first level if no introductory elements are needed. Again, organized by Roman numeral 1. A good way to, again, remember that is that this is the start of each new body paragraph. Main ideas are always organized chronologically as they are found listed in your thesis statement. So note in the thesis statement, that first one is differentiation. Factors that create the most optimal learning environment in the elementary level classroom are differentiation, number 1, number 2, classroom management, and number 3, consistency and routine. So we're just going to look at number 1. That differentiation. And that first main idea statement reads, primarily, differentiation creates a successful learning environment for young students as it allows for an individual-based approach. So that is what that main idea would look like there, as far as organization. Moving on to step number 3, this is where that subordinate idea comes in, that capital A, B, and C. Subordinate ideas are always going to follow your main ideas, and they are defined as items that support your main ideas, but also help transition to your reasons and examples. In an outline, you're going to see your information go from more general information to more specific information at each level. Research information may be added to this level if it's appropriate and pertinent to what you need. And so jumping over to our graphic here. So again, our information is organized starting with that title, then going to that thesis statement. After your thesis statement, your main idea, which reads primarily, differentiation creates a successful learning environment for young students as it allows for an individual-based approach. And then taking that last part about that individual-based approach and making it relatable to that next sentence, which reads, in elementary classrooms, each child has a different academic need as well as a unique learning style. So as far as that individual-based approach goes, we're looking at that child's unique learning style in their specific academic need. This is specific to each child. And so you're going to kind of see that information start to go from more general to specific in supporting that thesis statement and the main idea. In step 4, we're going to integrate reasons and examples. These are always going to follow your subordinate ideas, and their purpose is to back up your subordinate ideas as they support your main ideas. This is the level where you begin to see that specific information come to life. Numbers typically 1, 2, and 3 are going to be used here to organize your reasons and examples, and this is also an appropriate place to integrate your research information. Looking over at our graphic again, we're talking about the differentiation in the classroom, creating success as it allows for an individual-based approach. In our subordinate idea under part A, we talked about each child having a different academic need and a unique learning style. Now we're jumping into what those are in our reasons and examples, starting with number 1 here. Some children may be auditory learners and need to hear to understand. Others may be visual learners and need to see or watch to understand. Also, hands-on or kinesthetic tactile learners are also present and require a more active approach. So those are our reasons and examples there, going from each child has a learning style to these are the learning styles, auditory, visual, and kinesthetic. So seeing that transition and moving forward to that more specific information to back up all of these points that we have. And in step 5, we integrate supporting details and evidence. These are always going to follow your reasons and examples. They're going to be organized with lowercase alphabet letters. Typically, lowercase a, b, and c are the ones that you will find in an outline. This is the maximum level for specific information. So you're integrating your evidence and supporting items. This is a great opportunity to integrate research information to support your ideas, all those things. One thing I do want you to be aware of as we look over to our graphic, under number two, there is not a partition there. There is no divide with an A and a B. You might see things like this. However, where you do have an A, you must have a B. Where you do have a 1, you must have a 2. So this is also another scenario. It's completely okay to have things like this. just another thing to think about. And so we left off with the auditory, visual, and kinesthetic learners in our reasons and examples. So now we're moving into that supporting details and evidence, starting at number 1, level A here. Reading centers in which books are provided and read to students are a great learning tool for auditory learners. B, listening to explanations of curriculum is another great way to reach auditory learners. So we're talking about reaching those auditory learners underneath that specific reason and example. Moving to number 2, visual learners need to see or watch to understand. That's pretty self-explanatory, speaks for itself. Number 3, hands-on or kinesthetic tactile learners are also present and require a more active approach. So there we have supporting detail A, science labs aged appropriately appeal to hands-on learners. B, sensory centers may motivate tactile learners to learn curriculum. So again, reaching the kinesthetic learner is what we are doing to support all of these ideas that we have so far. So you'll see under our next point here, as we put it all together, this outline kind of begin to come to life. Now this isn't to scale, as this is a Word document that I put into my visual presentation here. However, you see each level of information and how it's organized and formatted and how it all works together. Starting with that thesis statement about the factors that create the most optimal learning environment, beginning with differentiation as our first main idea, allowing for an individual-based approach, going to our subordinate idea, where we look at each child having a different academic need and their unique learning style. Moving forward into our reasons and examples, those auditory, visual, and kinesthetic learners, those learning styles themselves. And then with our supporting details and evidence, talking about how we're going to reach those students and contribute to their success. And so that's kind of a way to look at that example that we used today. However, you'll notice it's the same thing through and through. And so with that pattern, it would just be plugging in that second, third main idea, any other subordinate ideas, reasons and examples, evidence and support to complete this outline. A few additional tips I'm going to leave you with today. Remember that outlining is a planning tool and your information may change. You may reorganize things as you're developing, and that's okay. You're going to notice that things might flow better in a different spot, and you just need to make it work for you. Outlines are going to look different depending on what you need for different writing assignments. You may create one outline for one writing assignment that looks completely different from another outline, and that's okay. Always, again, just make your outline work for you. This is an outline tool. This is a planning tool that is meant to help you in your writing process. If you need any additional help, Purdue OWL has a bit of good information on developing an outline, not only formal sentence outlines, but other outlines as well. Give that a look if you need more help with that. Also, if you have any further questions, always feel free to contact me. My phone, email, and availability are listed on this slide. I thank you so much for listening in today, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.